Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This here is Weeknights. We're 5 nights a week. We come and we give you the latest, the greatest, the shameless, mostly from the famous slash the entertainment industry.
Yep.
I am JD, aka He Who Pods. No specs today. Oh, my bad, player. Go ahead, get your shit off.
I didn't realize you were gonna make the announcement about the specs. I'm Dash, aka Dashing D, aka the real king of R&B. Let's get it. Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. On a Tuesday.
Oh, I was in the club. No, I wasn't in the club, but I was outside.
Oh, okay.
I was not in the club. Let me be clear. I was almost never in the club.
I hear that.
I was in the club for
I
about
understand.
this much of my youth. And then I said, ooh, that was enough.
Right. Let me just put my
Yeah.
volume up a pinch. Hold on.
I said, the club was cool, but now I just want to sit down with my drink.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to shake ass every time.
Yeah, no, and I learned that at like 23. I was like,
Yeah.
it's nice to just sit down with your drink.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, let's talk about something that's not nice.
Okay.
You saw a doc on Netflix. Tell us about it.
All right, so I watched Dirty Pop. Dirty Pop. Yes, that Dirty Pop. Because that was a NSYNC song, I believe. Dirty Pop. So Dirty Pop is about Lou Pearlman,
Okay.
who is no longer with us. Lou
Okay.
Pearlman,
Should we RIP or
he's not really somebody that, I don't wish dead on anybody, but he did a lot of messed up things to a lot of people.
you about to sneeze already?
Yep.
Someone buy Dash some allergy meds.
Lou Pearlman,
Some Sudafed or some Flonase, something.
my earliest memory of Lou Pearlman, he's this heavyset white guy who was balding. He had glasses, very pale. My earliest memory of Lou Pearlman was Making the Band, the original Making the Band that came on ABC. Oh yeah,
Wait,
there was a
wait.
before Diddy did Making the Band. Making the Band was on ABC. Look it up.
I shall. Specs on. Go ahead, keep talking.
So that is my earliest memory of him. He was trying to create a band. He created the band O-Town. He was trying to create the next boy band. The reason he did this was because he had had success with creating with the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. So basically, what Lou Pearlman was trying to do, like once he realized the success of the Backstreet Boys, he then tried to continue to replicate that success. So he did that with NSYNC. He tried to do it with O-Town. O-Town was popular for a little while. And there's a lot of other pop acts that he was associated with.
Okay.
The problem with Lou Pearlman is that he was getting over on everybody. He created a company, which was basically like a airline company, but it was a Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
It was, I think, called Transcontinental. So he was always the guy. He would be like, "I'll get you a jet," because it was a private airline.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Look at this. Yeah.
Oh
Lou
yeah, because I
Pearlman
used to
making
watch
the band.
Fleet every Friday. I loved Making the Band from the very beginning. I've seen literally every episode of Making the Band. So yeah, that was my first introduction to him with O-Town. I didn't really know about him before then, but he was associated with the Backstreet Boys' success, and instant success. That's why they were so similar. But the reason the doc exists is not really about the great things he did. The reason the doc exists is because,
Wait, but is it? This article says docu series. Is it a docu series or a doc?
well, it's a docu. I mean, it's 3 episodes,
Okay.
so docu series is fine. I mean, I think
No,
both of
I
those
don't
things.
know. So I'm asking. I'm not.
To me,
Maybe the article was wrong.
it's a 3-part doc. I don't, you know. So there are members of the Backstreet Boys who are in the doc. There are members of NSYNC who are in the doc. Members of
Did
O
Justin
Town.
Timberlake make an appearance?
No, but there was a lot of video of Justin Timberlake. What they
All right.
basically tell you is that Justin Timberlake is probably one of the few people who really like made a lot of money off of the music. Um, because what he was doing was he was shaving most of the money that they were making off and keeping it for himself. And then he
Mm.
created this company called Transcontinental, which was linked to just about everything that he was doing. And it was supposed to be like an airline, but it also had like these subsidiaries and all of these things. And people would later learn that there were no planes. All of this was a big Ponzi scheme. There was no way to pay the money back, even though some of the people in the doc did say they believe if he was still alive, he would have tried to pay the money back. They just think he got in over his head. But people say that, but millions and millions of dollars later, right? Where you was gonna get it from?
Another
So he was
scam. Duh.
right. So he was charged with like bank fraud and all kinds of stuff. Like, right, exactly. Like Billy from the Fire Festival. There's always another scam around the corner. But um
Scammers got a scam.
scammers got a scam. But yeah, he was charged with bank fraud and the ultimately I think what got him is that the FBI was on his tail. They were monitoring everything he was doing. He goes to the bank and basically overstates his income, and then and then like a week later he was trying in Backstreet Boys they sued him. They show this one scene. I don't think this is much of a spoiler, but they show this one scene where Backstreet Boys are super young, and they either went gold or they went platinum, and they present them with their platinum plaques. They present them with their plaques, and they give them their checks. And they open the envelopes and they look at their checks, and a couple of them are like, "Oh my gosh, $10,000! I've never seen this kind of money before." But then one of them turns to another one. They say he was the smart one of the group, and he turns to one of the other ones and he goes, "How much money do you make a year at Outback?" And that's when it clicked for them that $10,000 for all the work they had been doing, all the performing, making an album, all of that didn't seem to make sense.
Right.
But Lou would basically say that he was the sixth member of the group. His
Mm.
attorney is actually in the doc, and his attorney basically says, I mean, he was the sixth member of the group. Like, he is the person who created the group. He is the one who paid for the dance lessons. He's the one who paid for the vocal lessons. He trained them. He made them what they are today. So why should they get more? I was like, oh. At what point do you stop paying for somebody helping to put you on?
Never.
But how much?
Well, and
Like,
that's what I was about to ask you. Is was he their manager? What were they signed to him as a label?
I think it was both.
But then you're gonna make the least amount of money. Not saying that 10,000 is fair for a year.
But
I'm
that's what
not
I'm.
saying that. But hold on. Record labels front the money for most things. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm only speaking about the business practices of the industry. It sounds like to me he was on some 360 deal type of shit
You're
where I'm
saying.
gonna pour.
Sorry. I didn't realize you weren't done.
Sound like he was on some 360 deal shit where I'm going to get you the lessons. I'm going to get you the vocal coach. I'm going to get you to these venues, but then I'm going to take the bulk of the money. That today is a very common practice. In the 90s, maybe not. But that's why I'm asking these questions. Also, when someone is your manager, and maybe that's the problem. If he's your label and your manager, then yeah, he's going to get bulk of the money because it is a common practice that your manager can make as much as 30%. And really, that depends on your deal with the manager or the management company. It could be more than that. But usually, people take anywhere from 25, 35% of what you get up front if they're your manager.
You think that the Backstreet Boys only generated $50,000? They only netted down $50,000.
No, absolutely not.
I think that was the point here, though. I understand what you're saying,
I was
and I'm
answering
not
your
saying that
question,
he
though. You
shouldn't
asked,
make more money than they should have. But I think what I'm pointing towards is that it's from what they said, it seemed quite disproportionate to what he was making, to what
I understand.
he was taking home.
But that's why I get that. But your question was, at what point do you stop paying the person who put you on? If they are your label and your manager, both simultaneously, the answer is never, as long as you're in a deal with those people. For example, if today I sign to, I don't know, Sony Records, and I don't have a manager. So Sony Records becomes my manager. I don't know how that would be possible today, but let's just say now Sony Music is managing me, and they're my label. Of Sony Music is gonna get 80 to 85% of the income. And today with a 360 deal, they would be pouring out way more money because they have the resources, they have the ties to the venues and all of these different things. And so, yeah, I'm not saying, let me be clear, I'm not saying they should be getting $10,000 for a year of work. Absolutely not. I'm only responding to your question, which was, at what point do you stop paying this person?
And I
The
don't.
answer is when the deal is over, which if it's never, well, my initial response was never, but I guess the better answer is when the deal is over or when you can renegotiate your contract. Because if they are both of those things, if they're handling everything for you and you're just showing up and singing, or showing up and singing and dancing, performing rather, then they're going to get the bulk of the money. Today with a 360 deal, most people are only making 20 or 15% of the income. The label is making most of the money. That's the deal.
And that's fine. But a group is all I'm saying is a group as big as the Backstreet Boys. After, and I don't know that it was the time frame was a year. I think they just used that as a benchmark to understand the amount of money they had made. But this was after getting a plaque. This was after that they had to have generated so much revenue, right? Like that's the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm just saying that I think that when they told the story about it only being $10,000 a piece, I think that they were trying to convey that it was a disproportionate amount to the amount of revenue that they had generated. If at the end of the day they get 20%, if we do the math on that, you're telling me that it was only a few $100,000 that they of revenue that they generated. To me, that just
But revenue, see, but this is where the business terms and semantics matter. I didn't watch it, so I can only respond to what you're saying. But if on paper the profit was $100,000, then the answer would be yes. The next question is how often were they paid this amount? Because also that amount is broken up by 5 members. So if
right.
it's
So that's why I'm saying $50,000. If they each receive $10,000, then that's $50,000, right?
but
So
that's why I'm asking how often was that payment supposed to be? If you don't know, it's okay, but that would be my question. Because
I think this was like their
let's
first
say that
check
was
after they had put out an album and after they had started performing. This was their check. Because again, what I'm saying is they presented them with plaques and checks at the same time.
No, I got that part. But if this is the first time you're getting paid and then it's going to be monthly after that, I don't know. I'm asking. And if you don't know the answer, it's okay.
I don't know the
But
answer to that question.
sometimes you can't get paid. Again, if he was swindling them, he's swindling them. I'm
I
just
mean, he was
talking on
a
a broader
swindler. That's
business.
that's why I'm like, I don't know what we're debating right now because he was a swindler. He was running a whole Ponzi scheme. So I think what you're saying isn't wrong, but given the given context,
Mhm.
he was a swindler.
Yeah,
He
I get that.
he
I just see
he
both
he.
sides. Like,
You
yeah.
know, he swindled a lot of people out of a lot of money, and that's why he ended up in prison before he died. So it's not like there's a debate on whether he was getting over on people or not. He was convicted of getting over on people.
But was he convicted of doing that, of getting over on the Backstreet Boys?
Well, no, but he was using the airline company as a front, and was then the entertainment stuff was like subsidiaries of this company.
Okay, I got you. I
I
understand.
mean, I think it's worth a watch. I thought it was really interesting. He's dead now. Like he died in prison. But
Well, you told me something off pod that I thought you would say here. You haven't said it yet about the way this doc was done.
oh, so I thought it was really interesting that they used AI to get his perspective. Apparently, he wrote a book at some point
Mhm.
over however many years. I don't remember what year he died, but before he died, he wrote a book. And so basically what they did is I guess they found footage of him talking somewhere. And
Mhm.
they used that to AI generate him saying things from his book. So he was like speaking actual excerpts from his book, which was basically like his philosophies and his perspectives and how he saw things, like as far as the groups went. So they were able to use his voice in that sense. So you see him when they show video of him, it's him like sitting at a desk and he's talking, but it's not technically real. It's AI. I thought that was really interesting and really smart to do because it is his voice. It's not
Right.
his voice, meaning like from his mind. He was the one who wrote these things. So it's speaking from his point of view is what I should say.
Right.
Um, so I thought that was really cool. I'm okay with, I've said it before, I'm okay with AI when we know what you're doing. Also, I feel like when you're using it for good rather than evil, I think AI is okay. So I thought this was really interesting that they did this way. Um, because sometimes that piece is missing.
Right.
I love documentaries, but sometimes a lot of times you don't get the perspective of the person they're talking about.
That's
Um,
true.
you get a lot of accounts from them. Like if things were recorded while they were doing whatever they were doing, you'll see stuff like that. But a lot of
Right.
times you don't actually hear from them. And this is not really us hearing from him in real time, but we were able to get a sense of what he was thinking. Um, but yeah, there's some really interesting stuff in the doc. There's even, one of his friends ended up taking his own life, and that becomes a topic of conversation. He was one of the people that he defrauded. So
Mm.
there's a lot of people who were affected by the stuff that he did who speak about him and how it affected them. The woman he was with for however many years, and what she thought about everything. So it was really interesting because honestly, I'm gonna be real honest, and this is gonna sound bad. Maybe it doesn't sound bad. I don't know. I didn't know that man died.
Oh, no, I don't think that sounds bad. We don't
I
know when every person dies.
Yeah, but he was pretty prominent in the music industry. I had no idea that man had died. I remember hearing rumblings about his legal troubles, but I don't recall him dying. So I just thought the whole thing was really interesting, especially if you were ever into like the boy band era or what was going on with that. It's interesting to see what was going on, and like how, and hear Backstreet Boys actually talk about how they kind of uncovered what was going on, and um, you know, realizing that they couldn't trust him, and because what they do show you, like some of the initial footage, is how close they were to him. He would
Mm.
they would call him like Papa Bear, which you watch these docs. Let me just say this: you watch these docs, right? And like people talk about like the origin stories, and it'll be like the people who were in it will think that the origin story was like really sweet and nice. And I just be sitting there like there was something really perverse about these young men having this person like try to turn them into a super group and them calling him Big Papa.
I love it when they call me Big Papa.
I was like, that man is your daddy. Also, I don't know. They said he was very inappropriate. It was kind of like Dan Schneider, where they said he was very inappropriate, but no one ever accused him of doing any like assault or anything like that. But to me, there's something very perverse about having these young men call you Big Papa. Um,
Definitely.
Especially when there's like this transactional thing, you're making money off of them. It's just it's weird. And I was like, why people don't notice that when it's happening? Like, I'd have been like, no, I'm not calling you Big Papa. But why you want me to, why are we doing that?
It's a good question. But what age were they when this was happening?
Young? I don't know. It was the beginning. It was the beginning of them being a group. So you can
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah, they were teenagers.
Yeah. So I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to watch it. I don't have Netflix, but I'll try to see if I could finagle something. Um, I do not want to make it seem like I'm simply defending this guy. I think what happens is a lot of times we hear stories of the entertainment industry as outsiders, and we don't understand how common some of these practices are. And so that's all I was trying to speak about because I see the other side as far as that goes. Like we have discussed many times, like contracts that come up and people say like, "Oh, I got signed to this bad contract and they were fucking me over." And then you learn like, "Oh, but that's what everybody goes through in the industry." So that's why I was asking questions. I didn't watch the doc. I would watch it. I don't seem disinterested. It seems like a really interesting watch. He
Mhm.
definitely seems foul. But that's why I was asking questions. Because I think that's what happens. Sometimes we hear stuff and it's like, whoa, 7 album deal. How did that happen? But then you learn like, well, in the 90s, that was common, right? Um, so that's why I asked. But no, you shouldn't be having teenage boys call you Big Papa. You shouldn't be stealing people's money. And I also think every time we speak about groups getting paid, it is murky water. We have heard multiple stories of groups talking about how they felt they should have been getting paid more, they were underpaid, all of this stuff. But part of the problem is you have to take that amount of money and split it between the members of the group. So even $100,000 check, for example, split amongst 5 people, it's not a ton of money you're walking away with. And so I think that's one of the things that people don't think about as the outsiders looking in. If I said, hey, boys to men at the height of their career were only paid $20,000 a month, you'd be like, what? $20,000? That's crazy. But really, that's $100,000 a month
A
or
month
more.
makes sense to me. That wasn't the vibe that I got, that it was like something they were getting monthly.
But
It
that's
seemed
why I
like
was
it was like a
asking, and if you
one
don't
time
know,
check that they had
it's weird.
gotten. So
Well, that's yeah. I feel like those are some of the details that we would need to be able to um, gauge better because how often and why and the payment setup is important. Many rappers have said music money comes extremely slow.
Hmm.
All right. Let's leave this topic. Let's go to the auditorium.
Common and P Rock.
Common and P Rock dropped. It's called the auditorium, no?
Yeah, I believe so.
See if I can Larry squint this one. You know what I'm saying? Larry squint. Yes, the auditorium, volume one. Oh, I'm already here. I might as well pull up some other stats. Common and Pete Rock dropped the auditorium volume one. Oh, look, I don't need to squint. On July 12th, a couple weeks ago. It is a 15-song album that they dropped, an hour and 2 minutes. And so we decided to give it a listen, come up here and give it a quick review. And so here we are.
I want to say something.
Say something.
In the past, I have slandered short albums. I am finding it harder and harder to listen to longer albums.
Yep.
It's not that I don't want the music. It's not that I don't want. Part of it is this podcast, meaning that we listen to music sometimes in order to be able to review it here.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a problem with that, just to be clear. But I think what happens is I kind of like put myself like I I, I listen to it in one sitting just because I'm like, let me listen to it in one sitting since I have to like think about it and um or multiple sittings. And I just I never thought that listening to an album for an hour would be a stressor for me. And I just find myself checking to see how many songs are left sometimes.
I understand.
And I want to be clear that I don't think that's an indication of whether an album is good or not. I'm sure that there are times when I don't do that, that maybe it is an indication that an album is really good or I really like something. But I don't think that's I don't want to go with that because I don't think that's what it is. I just think I'm a little just like, oh, wow, I've got to do 10 other things and I haven't gotten to the end of this yet. so, so I say that to say this felt very long for me.
Because it feels long.
Yeah, it felt very long. I mean, an hour felt very long. Now, as far as the quality goes, I thought it was a good quality album. I thought it was cool. I don't know. I don't know Common's catalog that well. I know like the things that everybody knows.
Okay.
Like him and Erica Badu could make a song for me any day. Love it.
Okay.
Um, you know, yeah. I feel like all of the singles and the things that the common songs I'm very familiar with. I'm very familiar with and I've always liked. But I've never really took a deep dive into his catalog. So I want to be clear about that when I give my review because maybe it would, change the way I see it. But I thought it was good. I thought it had good sound. I thought he sounded great. I thought they both did a great job. I There is a song that I didn't care for. And normally I feel like I feel like y'all probably expect me to like this one. But
Uh-oh.
the song I didn't care for was the song with Jennifer Hudson.
No, I thought that's not going to be the answer. I thought you were going to say something else. Why you didn't like that song?
Something about it was weird. Like something about the sound of it just wasn't.
Hold on, let me see. Is this the same one I don't like? Before I start talking shit,
I
hold on,
was into it. I know it's
hold
like
on.
supposed to be like gospel type of music. Maybe I need to be
No,
saved
that's not the one
to
I
listen
don't.
to it. Maybe I need to be saved to listen to it, and I'm not. I don't know. Um, I'm still out there,
Maybe you need to be
fornicating,
saved.
being a heathen. Um,
Wow, that was crazy.
but I didn't. I know, they were probably having a love fest during that time, you know, with their relationship and whatnot. And I really wanted to like it because she was there, and I was like, oh, this is cute. This is cute putting her on your album. I mean, if I could sing, and I had like a man who was a rapper, I would be like, oh yeah, of course I'll get on your track, baby. You know, that's cute. That's cute on some, some girly shit. But on some music shit, I was just like, it fell flat for me. And I really wanted to like it when I saw her name. But I didn't. And again, maybe I need to be saved. Maybe I need to be closest to the Lord for it to be, for it to resonate with me
Hmm.
the way that I think it was supposed to resonate with people. And I hope that people find peace and find positivity in it because I think it's a really positive song.
Peace and positivity.
I hate when I don't like things like that because it's kind of like the Will Smith song. Like, he ain't do nothing wrong. He was trying to be positive, he was trying to be uplifting. And I just was like, I don't think I want to be uplifted by these people.
Okay, what did you like about the album? So far, we got It's Too Long.
I hate when you do this. I hate when I give the review and I say what the good things are, and then you come back and ask me again because then
What did you say that was good?
I said I thought it had a great sound. Said I thought both of
Oh,
them
you did say, all
sounded
right, you're right, you're right, you're
like
right. I apologize. I apologize. You said they both did a good job. You're right. I'm sorry.
that is not all I said. What's wrong with you?
What else you said?
Let's move on. What did you think of it?
No, 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 no. If I misspeak, then
No.
correct me. What else did you say that was good? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not trying to set you up. If
Go
I'm
back
wrong,
and
I'm
look,
wrong.
go back and watch it when you get a chance. Come on, let's go. What did you think of it?
All right.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was a really balanced album. You got a lot of talk shit records, but you also have a lot of records with a message. And I thought this was a good job of blending the two together, of
Mhm.
where I'm going to speak about the things I think should be changed. I'm going to speak about my religious views and my relationship with the Lord and our struggles as a people and as a
You got
community,
to talk about the struggles as a people.
but also, hey, I'm that nigga, and don't y'all forget it. I thought this was a good balance of the two. Um, and I think Pete Rock did a good job with production. It was nice to hear Pete Rock come up there and spit a little something, something here and there.
Yeah.
Um, and so I thought all of that was good. I think the two work very well together. I think it worked well in the sequencing. It didn't seem like anything didn't belong where it was. Things led really nicely into the next track a lot of times. Even the single, which is like in the middle of the album, if I'm correct, it ended with something that's like, oh, you guys gotta wake up, and you guys gotta wake up, and you gotta wake up. And then it leads right into the single, which is about uplifting the people and waking up and blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was really, really smart, really smooth transition. Um, I thought it was good. I only have two critiques.
Okay, let me
Uh,
say one thing before you tell me your critiques.
sure.
I like Dreamin'.
The first track. Yep. That's good.
Dreaming and I'm thinking of you. I know it's something I've heard before. I think that's why it just felt really familiar to me.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, you talk about the technicalities and I talk about the feelings, and it, I like the way that always makes me feel, and I feel like Common, came in and did what he needed to do to keep me feeling that way.
That's good. That's a great thing. Actually, that's a good point. There were some very familiar samples, including some from Kanye, which I didn't expect. Um,
He
in the
always brings
Chicago,
us somewhere.
well, the song was about Chicago, so that made sense. If I remember
Yeah.
correctly, that's the song where that sample is. Um, and I'm never mad at Common repping Chicago, which he does often. That's where he's from, so I'm not mad at that. If I was from Gotham City, I'll be rapping about
Gotham
it.
City. Oh,
Why? Oh, what's wrong with that?
we can't sing that.
Can't sing Gotham City.
No,
You didn't just make that up. Is that from
no, that's a real song.
Gotham City? I'm not familiar, but based on your face, I'm guessing it's the Pied Piper of nastiness. All right, well then don't sing it. But if I was from Gotham City, I would, I would rep that. You want me to edit that out?
I think that was on the Batman soundtrack. You don't have to edit it out, but it was It was an honest accident.
Hmm. Okay. Anywho, if I was from Gotham City, I'd be repping it too. That was my point. Um, so I think it was a smart use of familiar sounds as well. I think that was a good point that you hit right there. I was gonna say I only have two critiques. Number one, listen, I feel you. Uplift the people, speak about the struggles, and also talk your shit, but not for an hour.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
No, that's my first critique. This was too long.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at Common doing 15 songs, but these were 15 full length songs. And I know the outro, not really. Fine, whatever. But my point is, these are full songs. Common is not giving us 90-second songs. And I, as an MC and a hip hop head, truly appreciate that. But we don't need an hour of that because it was pretty much the same two or three topics the entire project. And I'm not mad at that. But when you're rapping in basically the same flow every song, it becomes challenging to hear that flow for 15 songs. And I struggle with that as a fan of music. Also,
Mhm.
because I'm an artist who understands we shouldn't be doing the same shit all the time. I always say up here, I think the best artists are balanced. And I think that is kind of the problem with this project, where Common has what I like to call a default flow, a signature flow. And that's good. I'm okay with that. But we need more uh switch ups if that's the case.
I see
Um
what. Yeah.
Listen, it's not a common specific complaint. There are other artists who I struggle with listening to, and I've said that up here before for the same reason. Rick Ross is one of them. Wale is another one. Meek Mill is another one. Jadakiss, who I fucking love, is another one. It's not the problem that they can't use other flows. They can, but a lot of times they stick to their default flow because it works, and that's good. But I personally struggle listening to that default flow for an entire album. And I was surprised, honestly, that Common didn't switch it up more because I know Common is capable of doing so. Uh, and so I thought that he would show that. His lyrical ability is through the roof. That's never been a question. I'm not saying anything is wrong. I'm only speaking about my personal challenge with hearing something repetitiously for an hour. It's a long time. Probably
Yeah.
could have cut this in half, especially when you're letting us know this is volume one. I'm
Yeah.
glad y'all got together and recorded a lot of songs, but that
Hmm.
is my second problem. This is volume one, and I don't know if I want to hear volume two because I need different shit on volume two then
Oh.
because volume one was good. It was probably what we should call contemporary hip hop, right? This was a very specific type of hip hop. These two gentlemen excelled at creating it. It is top tier contemporary hip hop, if such a genre exists. It is right on the money for what you want, but I don't need it for an hour then. And if you're going to give me multiple volumes, perhaps cut them shorter. My second complaint is I have listened to Common albums before. And I know Common straight up recycled some lines on this song, on this album. And that surprised me. As great as a wordsmith as Common is, I was disappointed hearing some lines that are very specifically recycled from other projects, especially because sometimes you give a nod to one of your old projects or reference something from before. That's not what it was. This was the same exact line you heard before. I don't know if he was freestyling some of these lines and it just came out because it was familiar. I don't know the answer, but that surprised me in a bad way. I have to give a little bit of critique on that only because I know that Common is super talented and a great wordsmith. And so I hold him at a high regard, and that I was disappointed in.
Let me ask you this though:
So
do you think the album was anti-black?
no. How would it be anti-black? It was very black.
I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm about to say what the hell?
I'm kidding. We'll probably talk about this another day, but you know, Malcolm Jamal Warner is concerned that hip hop is anti-black, so I just figured I'd ask.
We'll get to it another day, but he said the hip hop that gets the most attention.
I know, I know what he said. I just thought it was funny. Um, I just thought it was funny, and really, what he was trying to do was promote poetry. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Perhaps another time. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, listen, I your critiques are valid. Yeah, I think things can get redundant. It's like I could listen to a lot of Rick Ross, but I can also take breaks from it, and I'd be fine because it's not like you said. It's kind of the same. It's usually the same cadence. It's usually the same type of beat. It's usually the same type of artist, if not the same artists that are featured.
Right.
Um, he follows a blueprint, and I have also said that I think that certain artists they niche themselves, and sometimes I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay. I don't know what. I don't know if I want Rick Ross to do anything else. I'd have to hear what that sounds like. I think at this point I'm like, what he does is fine. But I do understand when you are familiar with an artist being able to do more and exercise their skills in a lot of different ways, then yeah. I mean, and there's so many that are capable of that you know. So I totally understand wanting that from Common because Common is absolutely capable of that. Um, and Common is great at what he does. So why would
And
why
again,
would the
it's
expectation be?
it's just my personal thing. It doesn't mean Common sucks, the album sucks, not at
Yeah,
all. I'm only speaking about my personal struggle as a listener.
yeah, I understand that, but we on a podcast and we talking about it, so I figure let's talk about it.
Indeed.
Is it over? Okay.
No,
I
it's
know
still
they,
going. It's just lower.
I know they probably won't hear that, and I'll
I'll
just look
leave
like
it.
a fool
I'll leave
dancing.
it. No, I'll leave it so you don't look crazy.
um, yeah. So I mean, listen, I'm I am grateful for Common and Pete Rock because you know at least I didn't have to listen to beep.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, listen, again, I enjoyed the album. I just think sometimes, especially when you're letting us know this is volume one, maybe take it easy.
No.
Maybe 9 songs. You know what I mean? 10, 11?
I think 12 would have been great.
Listen, just saying.
I think 12 would have been great. We could have shaved like 15 minutes off of it.
Because also what happens is when you do something that pushes people to their limit and they know this is volume one, it makes you less eager to hear volume two, three, four,
Yeah.
five, six, seven, and eight. Now, if you give somebody something who even in the middle It's like, oh, okay, this was cool. I feel like they could have added more or maybe taken some off. Then you're more open to what comes next. And I feel like you do yourself a disservice, especially in this era. Like it's not 88, right? Like those type of albums were coming out before, but I think also it has to do with the topics. Like when you have this kind of album, it's hard to hear those topics over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because I know you're the man. I got it. I got it. You're the man.
Hmm.
And I got it. Power to the people. Absolutely. But what else?
I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. Well, I
So I
mean,
think it would behoove them to make volume two a little shorter.
a little shorter, and hopefully, volume two is maybe a different spin on what they did in volume one. Or it could be more of the same, but hopefully it's, there's a switch up there,
We will see.
Because I feel like when you are doing multiple volumes, you can take creative license. You can do one way and do another one a slightly different way, you know? Um,
I agree.
so yeah, we'll
All
have
right.
to see there.
Indeed. And we'll have to see y'all tomorrow.